The Auditor-General provides assurance to Parliament on the accountability and performance of the Victorian public sector. The Auditor-General conducts financial audits and performance audits and reports on the results of these audits to Parliament. On the 19th of August 2015, the Auditor-General tabled his performance audit report applying the high-value, high-risk process to unsolicited proposals. The high-value, high-risk, or HVHR, assessments were critical inputs to government decisions for two major unsolicited proposals which led to the approval of the final offer for the CityLink Tulla Widening project in April 2015 and the rejection of the interim offer for the Cranbourne Pakenham Rail Corridor project in March 2015. We found that the Department of Treasury and Finance, or DTF, had not consistently applied the HVHR process to the proposals examined in this audit. This audit has highlighted weaknesses in unsolicited proposal guidance and its application to inform government decisions. These need to be addressed. Well-planned, timely and high-quality infrastructure is essential to shaping Victoria to be prosperous, livable and sustainable. The HVHR process was introduced to address systematic weaknesses undermining agencies' performance in developing and delivering major projects. VAGO's June 2014 audit, Impact of the Increased Scrutiny on High-Value, High-Risk Projects, recommended extending the HVHR process to cover high-value unsolicited proposals. An unsolicited proposal involves the private sector approaching government to seek support to build infrastructure or provide services. Unsolicited proposals are now known as market-led proposals. The May 2014 budget included the unsolicited proposals for the $1.3 billion CityLink Tulla Widening and the $2.5 billion Cranbourne Pakenham Rail Corridor under the HVHR process. DTF updated the unsolicited proposals guidance to incorporate the HVHR process in August 2014. It refined the guidance further in February 2015 and renamed it Market-Led Proposals Interim Guideline. The audit examined DTF's advice to government about how to apply the HVHR process to unsolicited proposals and the application of the HVHR process to the CityLink Tulla and Cranbourne Pakenham proposals. We assessed the work of DTF, the Department of Economic Development, Jobs, Transport and Resources, or DED-JTR, VicRoads and Public Transport Victoria, which informed the HVHR assessment and advice to government. Following VAGO's June 2014 audit recommendation, DTF advised government to apply the HVHR process to unsolicited proposals that were of high value or high risk. However, the amended August 2014 guidance and DTF's supporting analysis did not provide a comprehensive and effective basis for applying the HVHR process to these proposals. The updated February 2015 guidelines improved the guidance by requiring a greater emphasis on the proponent articulating the benefits of value to government and an increased scrutiny of these by government agencies. However, there remains a lack of clarity about how this information will be generated and who is responsible for doing this. The guidelines are unlikely to produce proposals that provide the clarity and depth of information needed to fully inform a HVHR assessment. Our first recommendation calls on DTF to address these deficiencies, and it is critical that DTF acts on this recommendation. We found that applying the HVHR process to the CityLink Tulla proposal did not result in the information underpinning the project's approval meeting DTF's better practice guidelines. These gaps are significant and mean that government decisions on CityLink Tulla were not adequately informed. The additional HVHR scrutiny partly or fully assured the costs, timelines, risks, governance and project management and procurement of CityLink Tulla. However, there was weak assurance about the deliverability of the proposal's benefits, inadequate assessment of alternative funding options, and inadequate engagement with stakeholders about the impacts. Agencies need to address these issues by improving the level of scrutiny applied to verifying the benefits, better assessing the funding options, and improving the level of transparency and stakeholder engagement. The application of the HVHR process to the Cranbourne Pakenham interim offer was much better. The assessment highlighted areas where the interim offer fell short of meeting the HVHR deliverability criteria and also described the progress made by the proponent. For this proposal, the HVHR assessment clearly fulfilled its role of informing government's decision about whether to proceed beyond the interim offer to the development of a final offer. The existence of a long-term plan for the corridor defining the likely capacity requirements greatly helped agencies assess the extent to which the interim offer would address government policy objectives. However, it remains unclear how essential information needed to decide on a final offer, such as a cost-benefit analysis and benefit management plan, would have been addressed if the proposal had proceeded. The greater clarity required should be addressed by DTF when it addresses the deficiencies referred to in Recommendation 1. Our first recommendation is aimed at strengthening the unsolicited proposal guidelines and reporting requirements. Our second recommendation is aimed at ensuring the effectiveness of the governance framework that DED-JTR has put in place to provide greater assurance about the rigour of the transport forecasting and economic appraisal. The third recommendation is aimed at ensuring there is sufficient scrutiny of benefits for unsolicited proposals, that all viable funding options are assessed, and that agencies develop adequate stakeholder engagement strategies for proposals that proceed to full development. This slide summarises the key messages from the audit. Overall, DTF has acted swiftly to apply the HVHR process to unsolicited proposals. However, there is more work to do if the information provided to government is to fully and adequately inform its decisions about unsolicited proposals and achieve the kind of community engagement and transparency clearly flagged by government as central to its infrastructure policies. This slide lists relevant audits. All our reports are available on our website. If you have any questions about this or other reports, or if you have anything else you would like to discuss with us, including ideas for future audit topics, please call us on 03 8601 7000 or contact us via our website.